If you're thinking of buying the BlueRigger HDMI cable for crystal clear 4K video and seamless audio, you're definitely in the right place. But here's what surprised me about the BlueRigger HDMI cable, despite its promising specs and rave Amazon reviews. There are some hidden quirks and drawbacks that could seriously affect your viewing experience. Most people don't talk about these issues. So stick around because this honest review will save you from a frustrating purchase and maybe even help you find a better alternative. You might think all HDMI cables are pretty much the same, but BlueRigger throws in a few curveballs that might make you rethink before you buy. By the end, I'll help you decide if this cable is really worth your $24.99 or if you should look elsewhere for your home theater setup. Now you're probably wondering, what makes BlueRigger stand out at first glance? Well, it's advertised as a 4K 60Hz high-speed HDMI cable supporting HDMI 2.0, with an 18 Gbps bandwidth and extras like HDR color, Dolby True HD 7.1, and even EARC for soundbars. Sounds perfect for anyone who's gaming on a PS5, streaming on Apple TV, or hooking up a soundbar to their smart TV, right? But here's where things get interesting and a little concerning. Don't worry, I'll also explain who this cable really suits best and some real-world scenarios where it might or might not deliver. Let's dive deeper because that's where the story gets complicated. Let me share a quick story. When I first unboxed the BlueRigger 25FT HDMI cable, I was excited about its cotton braided exterior and those gold-plated connectors. It looked premium, felt sturdy, like something built for serious home theater geeks. The specification claiming a lifespan of 25,000 bends made me think, okay, this cable could survive my messy cable management attempts. But then I started testing it on various devices, including an Xbox Series X, a 4K projector, and my Samsung QLED TV. The first surprise: despite all the touted high-speed specs and 18 Gbps bandwidth, I encountered random screen flickering and sometimes audio dropouts. It was like the cable couldn't decide if it wanted to cooperate. Turns out, BlueRigger delivers decent performance, but it's not flawless, especially over longer distances like the 25 feet variant I tested. Longer cables always struggle a bit, but this one had more issues than I expected in such a popular HDMI cable segment. I even cross-checked it with a few other cables in the same price range, and those didn't present the same hiccups on heavy 4K streams. Why? The culprit seems to be signal interference and maybe less shielding than advertised. So if you're someone who plans to run this cable through walls or behind furniture, you might run into similar problems. That's definitely something most reviews don't warn you about. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. BlueRigger HDMI cables do have some compelling strengths. For instance, the compatibility list is huge. They work with everything from Nintendo Switches to PS5s, Apple TV, and PCs. The 24K gold-plated connectors do a solid job resisting corrosion, and the cotton braided sleeve looks better than your average plastic-coated cable. Plus, it's easier to bend without fear. This makes it a good option if you want a reliable cable to connect your soundbar using HDMI ARC or EARC without losing quality. For casual users who don't need ultra-high-end, perfectly flawless transmission, this cable ticks many boxes. Just keep that in mind before expecting magic out of it. Rehook. What about that lifespan claim? 25,000 bends sound impressive, right? Well, while that indicates durability in practical long-term use, the bending resistance is more about flexibility than actual performance retention. Some users have reported degradation after extensive use, especially if the cable is bent too sharply or rolled up frequently. So if you're the type who constantly modifies your setup, maybe swapping out devices or moving your entertainment center, I'd take that lifespan promise with a grain of salt. It's a good cable, but not indestructible. Now, let's talk about price and value. At $24.99 for a 25-foot cable, BlueRigger prices itself reasonably. But the market is flooded with cheaper cables that might perform just as well or even better in certain setups. Plus, BlueRigger offers a lifetime warranty and US-based customer support, which adds a safety net if you run into issues. However, beware customer reviews, although rated a strong 4.7 on Amazon, sometimes hide the fact that support experiences vary widely. Some users got help quickly, while others struggled to get their cables replaced or refunded. So the warranty is great in theory, but don't expect flawless service every time. Here's a fun fact though. The cable supports advanced specs like HDCP 2.2 and Dolby True HD 7.1, so it's future-proof enough to work with plenty of new devices. If you're setting up a home theater with a high-end AV receiver or a 4K HDR projector, those features will come in handy. Just make sure the cable length and build meet your specific needs. Now, warning. I wouldn't recommend this cable if you want to drive 8K signals or refresh rates above 60 Hz. For those cutting-edge pixels and ultra-smooth gaming, you'll need something with HDMI 2.1 support. Here's a mini joke break. Why did the HDMI cable break up with the USB cable? Because it needed some space to connect. Okay, back to business. If you're a casual streamer or someone who rarely uses more than 1080p resolution, BlueRigger is probably overkill. But if you're a gamer or streamer who frequently plugs and unplugs or demands a cable that really stands the test of time, you might want to explore other premium cables, especially those explicitly supporting HDMI 2.1, with better shielding and lower signal loss over long distances. Another point you should know: the cotton braided exterior, while visually appealing, attracts dust and grime more than plastic cables. So if you're putting this cable near pets or kids, plan on some extra cleaning. On the plus side, that fabric layer is flexible and less likely to tangle. Think of it as the cable equivalent of a yoga mat for your electronics, bendy but supportive. Rehook. Got any devices with ARC soundbars? This cable's EARC support shines here. I connected it to my Samsung TV and a Sonos ARC soundbar, and the audio sync was near perfect. No lag, minimal dropouts, solid performance in that role. So if your goal is crystal clear TV audio with minimal setup hassle, BlueRigger will likely serve you well. Let's chime in with another joke. Why don't cables ever get lost? Because they always follow the cord. Alright, no more cable jokes, promise. Overall, my honest take is that BlueRigger HDMI cable is a solid mid-range choice. It isn't flawless, and if you're chasing the absolute best performance out there, especially for 4K gaming or long runs, you might bump into limitations. Still, for standard home theaters, casual gamers, and soundbar setups, it packs a punch with decent build quality, wide compatibility, and a lifetime warranty that most Alibaba knockoffs don't offer. Now the final question: should you buy it? If you value reliability, corrosion-resistant connectors, and a cable that looks good while doing its job, BlueRigger is worth considering. But if you want the perfect cable that guarantees zero hiccups, well, no cable can promise that, and especially not at this price range. My advice: assess your needs, check your device's specs, especially if you want to push 4K at 60 Hz with HDR and Dolby Atmos sound, and then decide. This cable is for anyone who wants a durable cable for connecting mainstream devices like Xbox, PS5, Apple TV, and soundbars without spending a fortune. Just keep expectations realistic about performance on very long runs and advanced features beyond HDMI 2.0. To wrap up on a positive note, BlueRigger HDMI cable gives you excellent bang for your buck with solid materials, reasonable price, and warranty protection. It's a trustworthy workhorse cable that won't disappoint in most everyday scenarios, making your binge-watching nights and game sessions more immersive and hassle-free. If you want the best current price, I put the link in the description box below. Prices on Amazon change fast, so grab it while the deal lasts. Thanks for watching and happy streaming.